So our man Dino Seppi had some fun with classic hairdos and stashes in the CFL. So when looking at the history of sports in the 1960s and 70s, it was 2 decades in which fans witnessed great sporting moments. Regardless of what sport, fans from around the world witnessed dynasties and records come to fruition, whether it would be that of the Montreal Canadiens of the 1970s winning 6 Stanley Cups, the Boston Celtics of the 1960s winning 9 Larry O'Brien trophies, the Oakland Athletics winning 3 World Series in the 70s, the Pittsburgh Steelers winning 4 Super Bowls in the 70s, and the Edmonton Eskimos dominating with 5 Grey Cup victories from 1978 to 1982. As great as the historical teams were just in those decades, it was an era in which the period also came with players that created a swagger. With that swagger, along with the fashion, music, and films, various hairdos and mustaches were all so prevalent during this era. With that said, let's look at some former CFL greats that had rocked a great hairdo and mustache back in the day. For this, it will be players that had begun their careers in the 60s and or 70s. Side note, as far as the mustache is concerned, it will also be referenced as either a stache or a duster. A duster is a jargon term about a mustache in Canadian English. There will also be a score of out of 10 for the hairdo and for the stache. All right, I know you guys have been dying to know what this list is. So this is Dino's list. Let's get into it. So now, without further ado, let's look at some of the beauties that rocked a great hairdo and stache. So Louis Passagia, when you see this, it looks like a pregame moment. What was Louis Passaglia possibly thinking? No offense to kickers, but it was not like you have to study a playbook. Even then, there are most likely 10 plays that a kicker and or punter might have to study, but that's it. For the most part, they have the most leeway in practice. They practically have the most of their practices solo until the team is working on special teams as a whole. Great food of Louis is thinking about what he will eat after the game, I guess. So Louis rocked there. So hair score, 8.5. Stache, duster, 7.5. Let us know what you think in the comments. Next, Dave Cutler was one of the best kickers ever to lace up the cleats in the CFL. Absolutely beautiful. A portrait shot and not an action shot, but this one is good. It looks like a big fan of the Terry Jacks song, Season of the Sun. The duster looks great. It's about a 1/8 of a handlebar. Love the hair. So hair score, 7.5. Mustache, 8.5. On to the next. Dan Kepley, without a doubt, one of the best linebackers in the game. This photo is great. The hair is perfect fit along with the duster. It is not an official mullet, but it's very close to one. He has a California look, a surfer look. Dan Kepley rocks this look very well. It is very much the guess who inspired this look. Hair score, 9.0. Stache, 8.5. Mickey Jr. O'Ahu played some great legendary teams in Montreal. This was a beauty like no other. The American Samoan-born player displays a look like a part disco and part classic rock. And a very versatile Mickey Jr. Ahu is most likely a big fan of Big Back Betty song by Ram Jam and You Make Me Feel Like Dancing by Leo Slayer. Hair score, 9.6. Stache score, 8.8. Jim Young. As far as Dino is concerned, Jim Young takes the cake with this one. Just look at it. This is a thing of beauty, just so perfect. It's sure a lot of players in his day were jealous of how beauty he looks rocking his hairdo. Being in BC, there is definitely that California influence. Jim Young's hairdo speaks for itself, like a Creedence Clearwater Revival inspired look. Hair score, 10. Dino gives him a 10. Stache, 0, because he's not having a stache. Tony Gabriel, one of the best hands in the game. Gabriel was Mr. Clutch during the duration of a illustrious pro football career. This is a great look. Also, it's got that iron worker look. He looks like a gentleman that loves going to work and displays a work ethic in the best possible way. The best way is simply by leading by example. He's a big fan of Rush. Working Man will be the song of choice for his pregame. Love Rush, my favorite band of all time. Hair score, 8.7. Stache score, 9.2. Dieter Brock, the Birmingham Rifle, a short quarterback. He had an arm strength like no other. His hairdo does rival that of Jim Young, a very much California look also, and the Dieter pulls this one off as well as Jim Young. His hairdo speaks for like a David Cassidy-inspired look. Hair 10, but no stash, 0. So there you have it. Dino's, our man Dino Seppi's top classic hairdos and stash. Is he missing somebody from this list? Is there needs to be somebody added? Let us know in the comments.